Welcome to another Husker Fans in Montana podcast. I'm sitting here with BB, and guess who we have back? Karl. Welcome back, Karl.
Makes his return after a 2-week hiatus.
And you came bearing gifts, Karl. Why don't you tell us what you got there?
A little 1792, nice, inexpensive bourbon, nice and not a bad one for the price.
And
for our tasting pleasures.
I like that. We really needed. We didn't need tasting pleasures last week. We just needed whiskey, just raw whatever whiskey. Yeah, Everclear.
Something. Everclear, yeah, something like that. So lighter fluid.
Who makes the 1792?
Well, Sazerac is the company that makes it, but it's through the Barden Distillery.
Nice. Well, I did try a sip of it, and cheers to being back.
Cheers.
In another episode.
Here's to a win.
Exactly.
Yes, definitely a win.
And a free ticket giveaway coming up. Details later in the show.
I like that. I am, that's good whiskey. It really doesn't even need a chaser, but since I'll give a shout out to Lewis and Clark Brewery Company, I'm going to chase that with a Helena Haze IPA.
Okay.
Very nice. Oh, yeah.
Lewis and Clark Brewery right here in Helena. If you're in town, be sure to stop in. Live music. They've got trivia night.
Trivia night
open
tomorrow,
mic occasionally,
actually.
Yeah,
Wednesdays.
Great place, good entertainment.
Packed.
And a great beer.
Yeah, lots of them. Now, we're going to start with the Husker News, so I'm just going to read this, and then we'll chat about it. In Husker News, Huskers improved to 1-2 with the win over NIU, 35-11. QB Jeff Sims is practicing this week. The Nebraska running back room took a hit on Saturday with the season-ending injuries to Gabe Irvin Jr. with a hip, Ramir Johnson a shoulder, and that's leaving Anthony Grant and Emmett Johnson to carry the load.
Without dropping the load.
Yeah. DB Dwight Boodle II is also out for the season, a shoulder, but will redshirt and hopefully be back next season. Heinrich Harburg is listed as the code number 1 with Jeff Sims, and the question is who will start. And this weekend, this Saturday, Louisiana Tech comes to Lincoln, Saturday, September 23 at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time, because we are in Mountain Time in Helena, Montana, so we like to go with our time.
Mountain Time.
Our time.
And that'll be aired on BTN. So, gentlemen, comments on these news items or anything else that you've heard this week?
Well, I'm Grant. Hopefully he's learned his lesson. I hope he can hold on. The QB1, that's interesting because I thought Harburg did a pretty good job.
Oh, my.
14 out of 28, 158 yards, rating of 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, QBR of 51.8, and didn't turn the ball over.
No.
Plus he added 98 yards rushing.
Yeah, looked really good with his legs.
I'm not sure why there's the Q piece. It seems like he's earned the right to start until otherwise.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Now, 3 season-ending injuries in one game. Boy, that's rough.
That's brutal.
That's a blow.
And really, there's no sugarcoating it. That's going to hurt the running back.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, at the start of the year, we said that the running back room, I mean, not just us, although we have great insight, but we said the running back room was the strongest part of the team. And it was the deepest and probably the most talented room on the team. And now that's a huge hit, and a lot of people got to step up.
But Grant's got the talent. There's no doubt about it. He's got the physical talent, but if he can just hold on to the damn ball.
Yeah, he does.
Just got to hang on to it.
Well, and that's what with the quarterback with Heinrich in there. You can't hardly blame him for the one turnover that he had, the one fumble. I mean, it really was a blind sack kind of situation. But he held on to the ball, and I didn't see any shortcoming. He passed, I thought, as well as Sims, or better.
No interceptions, though.
And to me, his legs were, like he said, faster, stronger. He impressed me.
98 yards rushing. I mean, our top running back was, 47 yards?
Yeah.
Right.
So
he was very impressive.
Let me say one thing that I hope does not happen Saturday. Let's say they go with Sims and he jogs out on the field. Nebraska fans need to know it's not his fault. I I'm hoping that we don't hear the boos. And
You will hear boo birds. Of course you will.
Well, and that's
college
unfortunate.
football.
I know, but it's unfortunate because it's not that young man's fault. Coach somewhere is making the decision. If you're Sims or if you're any of these kids, you're going to go out and do the best you can do.
Right.
And that's not, we should understand that that's not him, and we shouldn't be, unfortunately,
I agree and I disagree. I think we shouldn't be too hard on him. He did throw the ball. The coach didn't throw the ball when it gets intercepted.
I understand.
And he does have to have a little bit of tougher skin. This is big time now.
I understand.
He just has to be a little tougher. But
right.
that being said, take it easy on him.
Right.
Worse than that boo, I understand that there was some sort of combo meal named after him at the fast food restaurants that must have been part of his NIL deal, and they've removed his name from the combo.
Oh,
So
man.
Now,
I
see,
think
that's too bad.
Yeah, I don't think they should go that fast after 2 games.
I
for
agree.
sure.
I agree with that. That's crap. They signed into that deal. He gets that deal.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, I mean, that's a direct hit on him. I think, although I see what you're saying from the booing standpoint, but really I think what the fans will be booing is the coach's decision, not so much him personally, but that the decision to especially since, a Nebraska
agree.
native did so well.
I agree, but imagine just how cool it is for Nebraska fans not to do that. If he does jog out on the field, everyone knows. Everyone is hoping, everyone's going, oh boy. But how cool would it be if we didn't boo one of our own for going out and doing his best? We all know. We all know that the quarterback last week suddenly turned things around in the ball control department. Anyway, I just hope I just
It doesn't hurt to have a little tougher skin. That's all.
I agree with that.
Because you go
too.
into enemy territory, they're not going to be nice
enemy
to him.
territory. I get it.
But they're not going to be
This
nice
is
to him.
home.
So,
This is home.
I know, might as well get practice at
I
home.
guess.
Yeah, it's going to happen, but they're not going to boo him. They're booing the coaching decision if that's what it is. But here is a little video of Coach Rule on the injuries when he announced them.
In injury news, we had some guys seasons end early, unfortunately, on Saturday. Ramir Johnson will have surgery for a dislocated shoulder and serious enough that he'll miss the year. Gabe Irvin dislocated his hip and will have surgery on his hip, so he'll be done for the year. And Dwight Boodle hurt his shoulder in the game and will have to have surgery, so he'll be done for the year. So the football impact aside, especially for Ramir, who's a senior, I can just tell you it's heartbreaking on this end. Just an unbelievable young man, and just a leader. So Gabe has done a great job for us. Excellent leader, excellent teammate. So my heart really hurts for those two guys. Dwight, as a young player, had the shoulder before, so hopefully we can get him healthy. This could be one of the best things that happens to him. He's been playing a little bit, so he'll redshirt now and come back better than ever.
I have another one, Coach Rule, on sort of the status of the running backs, based off those injuries.
I was wondering
It's been-
if Coach Rule, you got together and decided to put the same shirt on.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he watches the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's just was
I think he
wondering.
does.
Yeah.
Wondering if you're texting in the mornings and shit like that.
Like in Ramir's backup is like that third down back, catch the ball out of the backfield, excellent change of direction. I think the thing about Emmett is he's really smart, highly competitive. We hear us sometimes say, "Oh, he's one of us." Like he's got that mindset, like whatever it takes. If I said to Emmett, "Hey, can you go over and play safety this game?" He'd say, "Yes, sir," and go over and find a way to do it. So I have full confidence in Emmett. He's just, it's a loaded backfield, with some older guys. He's just been waiting his turn. But he can run between the tackles. He can run outside. He can catch the ball, and he'll know all the protections. Quentin's a big, powerful. He's an I-back. He's kind of a downhill runner. So he doesn't know everything, because he's been reading off of a card. But he's been in all the meetings. There's a reason why we do what we do and practice the way we practice and meet, so that when these things happen, guys are ready. Ramir obviously was crushed, but he was out at practice last night, walking around, following him around, making sure he knew what he was doing. So all hands will be on deck.
How do you feel about Anthony?
And then they go more into Anthony Grant specifically.
Now for you, and just what he's been through the first 3 weeks. What do you feel about him going forward?
Yeah, I don't think he's been through anything. There's a lot of people last week talked about, was he in the doghouse? If you're the tailback, you have to protect the ball. Simple. It's like if you're the tailback, you have to protect the ball. He's worked on it. That's my biggest thing with Anthony. Like, we all have weaknesses, you know what I'm saying, or things that we're not doing well. And our program is built on correcting those things. And so after last game, after the Colorado game, I told Anthony, I said, hey, if you have a great week, you're going to play this week. And Anthony had a great week. And so, I don't play guys because of what they did last year. Like, that's not me. Like, it's not fantasy football. I play guys based upon what they do at practice. And that's how you develop players. That's how a guy like Heinrich is ready for his moment. Anthony had a great week of practice. You can see his natural ability in the games. He's it's his show now. It's time for him to go. It was his show last year, so it's his show now. But at the same time, hopefully he developed and improved his ball security. It was the issue last year in the Illinois game. It was an issue in the Minnesota game.
And that's what
my
you
job is to
mentioned,
take
Karl.
players and show them what they're not doing well, so that
He
they
needs to do
improve those
finger
things.
exercises,
Hopefully Anthony's
whatever.
improved that.
Hold on to the damn
because when
ball.
he's right, and he's really good. And so I think he'll be a dynamic playmaker for us on offense.
Carry the ball around, go to bed with it, take a shower with it,
Well,
hold the
that's-
ball everywhere.
Get
That's no joke.
hypnotized.
That was
everywhere.
what they used
How about
to say.
what they used to do.
hypnotism?
Hypnotism,
Do
yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
Acupuncture.
You
Yes,
will not
acupuncture.
drop the ball.
Yeah, therapy.
Needle
You
it
will
right
not
into
drop
the-
Suck
the
it up,
ball.
Buttercup. Hold on.
Yeah, well, I think probably of those news items, the injuries are, terrible, potentially devastating. I mean, definitely a setback to that running back room. And then the biggest thing, the biggest question is really, and I think we'll probably hit on it throughout this entire podcast, is what we do at quarterback against Louisiana Tech. To me, it is basically we got to figure out who the starter is by the Michigan game. So I would almost like to see them give each one a couple series that, like it's planned. Just say, hey, instead of sitting there saying we're going to determine in practice, that clearly didn't work going into the first two games.
Dude.
So how about they say in game time, we're going to give Sims 2 series and then Harburg's going to get 2 series because Harburg did so much better and looked so much better. And a lot of the mistakes that Sims did, it really didn't matter who you're playing. He made those mistakes. So Harburg didn't repeat those mistakes, but a lot of people are saying, well, the competition that he was playing and he was playing at home, so that makes a huge difference. So I would like to see them give both of them equal time, knowing they're going to get equal time as they go into this week's game.
My only issue with that is that doesn't allow the offense to get into any fluid consistency. They don't get used to it. I think Harburg has earned a right to start the game, and maybe first half, second half, I'd be okay with that. But I think you have to have they have to get in sync. I think it's hard to do because they're different. They're way different quarterbacks. I mean, completely different styles.
I don't know. They're both a strong running quarterbacks, throw second. Although I would say you're right in the fact that Harburg is a little more of a traditional Nebraska quarterback from the 90s and early 2000s, where he's going to run more of the option and it's just going to run over people. Versus Sims is a opportunistic runner. Would that be maybe the right way to say it? If the pass breaks down, he's going to go ahead and run, or they will have some designed plays for him. But no one's going to worry about how many times you run Harburg. I mean, that's the first thing we heard about Sims. How can we run him that many times?
Well, and I guess I'm somewhere in between, which is, I almost think because of his athletic abilities with Sims, okay, the guy's quite the athlete. I think I would find a role for him, even in the quarterback situation. Maybe in a running game, bring him in, put him under center, run him with an I formation, do an option with him, bring him in and in running situations and rotate. I know it's unpopular to platoon quarterbacks, but it's been done successfully. And but I just think Harburg is too good to set him on the bench. If I was going to pick between the two, I would clearly choose Harburg as our guy. I'm just trying to think, because I really don't get a feeling from coach here that they're going to sit Sims. I think then the alternative is to find a role for him. And with our running game now taking something of a hit, maybe you could find a way to work him into the running game, I guess.
The one thing, Rick, you said that is right, is they have to have this figured out before Michigan.
Yeah.
They want to use this game to mess around and try different platooning them and stuff like that. That's fine. But Michigan, there needs to be a solid number one.
My feeling, honestly, though, Karl, is they need to have it figured out by the end of Michigan. Because I don't think anybody is honestly thinking that we're going to take Michigan.
Well, no, but
my point is
okay.
I hate to say you write a game off, but could we beat Michigan? Sure. That's why we play. That's why the guys suit up, and you hope you can, and you will, and the miracle happens, you beat them. After Michigan, you better have it figured out. That for sure.
Michigan will be a good test to see how they do under pressure, real pressure.
Oh yeah, you're gonna. Yeah,
you're right. You're gonna have.
But the season for this team really we got to win this week. The season really begins at the closing. When the clock runs down on the Michigan game. Now, can we make it to a bowl game? That's really, I think, where we're at.
Did you guys hear Coach Satterfield today in his press conference?
Bits of it. I got the highlights.
Yeah, I mean, so you probably heard him say clearly that he doesn't want a 2-quarterback system. I mean, he won't run quarterbacks in and out. He won't work with 2 quarterbacks.
I got a problem, though, but he also said that there's a role for both of them.
No, it sounded to me like not at quarterback.
Oh,
yeah.
Then where are you
a
going
wide
to put him?
receiver.
Like you put him at wide receiver
Put him
or
a
something
slot
else.
receiver. He's
And
got
I think
speed.
what he's saying is that's where he wants Harburg. Sims took over 50% of the reps today in practice.
Well, that's unfortunate. I guess we'll see.
So
my opinion.
The mistake that I think they will make with the fan base, I'm talking from the fan base. I mean, they're ultimately responsible to put the best person in there. But if they do not give Harburg a chance to compete in this next game for this position, and Sims goes in there, even if he looks okay in this game coming up, but he screws it up in that Michigan game, I mean, people are not going to be happy. And
Rightfully so.
I think they really need to give them an opportunity to compete in this game. And I would say the fan base expects them to put their best foot forward with Michigan and not give up with the game. And if they just turn it back over to Sims, and you want to talk about putting a lot of pressure on a young man, or, I don't know how young he is actually, but if he just gets it handed to him and he goes back in there and he screws it up, you want to hear the boos coming from the stand?
Well,
that would be big time.
Well,
At least if
his mother will be booing.
The old saying, the backup quarterback is the is the most popular player on the team until he has to take his first snap.
Sure.
Well, in this case, that turned out not to be true. Harburg went in there and did a fantastic job. He managed the game well and looked really good. So if there isn't an opportunity for him to keep playing and win this job, and they just give it to Sims and Sims screws up, man, it's not going to be easy.
Lose the team. The coaches could lose the team.
Yeah, because the team is definitely And hearing them, they
were supportive.
They
of
know Harburg. They've known him for years. He's been on the team for years.
Yeah.
And Sims has not. He came in this spring.
I don't think you get no argument from me on it. All I'm saying, I'm trying to read the tea leaves here with the coaching staff, and it just, to me, it seems like they're trying to find a role for everybody. I think they need to find another role for Sims, not another role for Harburg.
From if he's taken over 50% of the snaps, they're putting him in at QB.
How about putting Sims at a running back? What the heck? We're down running backs.
Or wide receiver.
Well,
but if he can't catch, definitely give him to him at running back.
Throw him at running back and have him throw the option pass. Hopefully it doesn't go to the other team. But that's a whole different issue.
But so I guess we can table that issue for a moment anyway, and
nice thing about it, it'll be resolved Saturday. We'll all see what happens.
We will find out.
We will do a little review by by looking at about it, it's just like an 8-minute quick game recap by BTN, and we'll just throw that up here, and then we can just kind of chat about last week's game, what we liked, what we'd like to see improve, any comments we have on last week's game.
I'm still shocked they took 8 minutes out of their Deion Sanders coverage.
That's amazing.
It is kind of something.
What I thought was amazing is that both pregame shows, Fox and ESPN, were both in Colorado. I don't think that's ever happened.
60 minutes. And
Yeah.
The Rock.
My daughter and her boyfriend were there at 7 o'clock in the morning to be at the CU campus.
Which show did they attend?
ESPN.
ESPN's College Game Day.
She sent me pictures of her standing right behind the Rock.
Man.
This was not a pushover team, by the way. Northern Illinois, they were solid. We'd mentioned their defensive line. They played well.
Right.
I did think we matched up well against them, so I guess the outcome wasn't a shock to me, but it's not a bad football team.
No, they usually have a quality team.
Well, they beat Boston College. Boston College has done well since, so maybe that's a head shaker. Maybe that's just flukes, but I think their defensive line is good, and their defense is their strength.
Boston College hung in there with Florida State last weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice play.
Yeah, he had some good throws on this drive. It was a great first drive.
Just looked so much better. I really do hope, you really hope Harburg gets in. I just thought he did really
I
well.
do too.
You would think, but so they were asked specifically, how much does like game, what they've done in games versus what they're doing in practice? And basically they said every day in practice, we're evaluating who gives us the best chance to win. So there was really no recognition that what you do in a game is more important than what you do in practice.
Don't you think, Karl, if you let this kid play 3 or 4 or 5 games, he's going to really be...
If he gets his momentum going, gets some confidence.
Right.
You don't get that in practice. Practice is important. You have to go out and put the effort in for sure. But there's something about being in a game time situation
Absolutely.
and getting into a sync or a rhythm.
It's like soldiers. They say, do you look good or do you fight well? Well,
Luckily,
clearly
you did both, so that's...
Thank you, Karl.
You're welcome. Yes.
You're very kind. I love you being here. No, I mean, obviously, you should be training and practicing in a way that gives you an idea of what you'll do in a game. But if you're just not performing in the game, that's more important. And this defense had a great stand here to hold them to this 3 points.
Yeah, that was...
I mean, I think we were all like, oh, man, are we going to come down to a nail biter in a game we should win comfortably? We really want to win comfortably. And so that was kind of a scary moment early in the first.
Nice play there.
Yeah, we got to him a little bit. Special teams did better this game.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So it was improvement all the way around.
Offensive line may still need some work. I see where Prohaska has moved up to number 2 now, so he might be working his way back to the starting role.
I did not like the little pass that Harburg kept doing, the sidearm thing.
The Mahomes thing, just kind of
yeah. And
throwing it sideways,
I just didn't see
unorthodox.
it. We ran it a lot. It just didn't seem very effective. I don't know why we kept going back to it, but
Well, I think didn't we score a touchdown on that the first time, and then they kind of figured it out and it was like, let's stop throwing that.
well, yeah, he throws. It wasn't quite the play, but similar to it. Here's a punt.
It sucks that Irvin got hurt. Because the first part of the game, he looks good.
Now this, if you could just do that punt each and every time, but boy, that was a nice one.
Yeah, Buddy had one inside the 20 and a 42.8 average.
Yeah, that one
A long of 48.
Yeah, that one down on the 1 yard line is. And then
Yeah,
what
that's
really
beautiful.
made that was everybody performed. The defense stopped them.
Nice play there.
That's another really good throw. This is interesting, him shushing his home crowd. So
Quieting the critics, is that what we're...
maybe so.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if the Boo Birds were already out then.
Well, he
Were
had
they hard
taken
on
some heat with being injured all the time and then not really stepping up to what they thought his potential would be. But I think this is really going to be a good year for him. I just love the way he made contact with people. One thing I did like what Satterfield said, he was asked about what side he was on as far as Haarberg should slide more. And he said, nobody was asking Tommy Frazier, and he named off several other quarterbacks, if they should slide more.
Well, they
and he
didn't do
says
that
this
back
is
then.
this is the way he plays.
Yeah, they didn't slide back then.
You slid, you got drilled into the
Yeah, he
the
says,
Yeah, you got
turf.
drilled into the
I'm
ground.
going to take you out.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a pass, even though this
That
was
was a nice play.
successful. But we ran it too much, and it just didn't seem to.
Yeah, but when it worked well.
When it worked well.
They should only run it when it works.
Well, that's how
I think.
Why not do
That's how
that?
I think
I
they
feel.
should
Why not
stop
do that?
running it when it doesn't work, for sure.
Yeah, don't do it when it doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree.
I wish I had a time machine. We just
Yes.
get a time machine,
Wouldn't
go
that be
back,
nice?
and then not do
God,
it.
how many
Boy.
mistakes would I correct?
If I had a time machine, I would.
Yeah. Wow.
Of all the things you could correct in your life, Rick could go back and
Yeah,
fix.
let's not go there.
fix Husker plays.
Really, I don't want to go into my therapy issues.
I would just fix it. That would
You
be my
just
primary
fix
thing. If I had
Husker
one
plays.
quarter to make it work, I'd just fix Nebraska seasons. Yeah, because there are things that are larger than me, Karl. I'm sorry, you're Brian.
Brian. That's
Right.
Carl's a whiskey. guy.
Carl's over here. Yeah.
Nice run here.
That's a nice run. Boy,
Yeah.
It just kills me that he got hurt, though. Damn.
Dislocated hip.
Ah, you know what? That's the type of stuff that ends your career, too. Remember, that was the Bo Jackson.
Was it the
Bo Jackson had his hip, and
Boy.
he never came back.
Yeah, that's
Now,
rough.
it depends on it. I know that technology is different now than it was then, but yeah, for a running back, you can't have a dislocated hip.
Look at that. We actually get a turnover.
That was nice.
Yeah,
Right.
there's Grant.
Yeah. And he held on to the ball the entire time.
It's definitely on Grant now, that
Yeah.
running back position.
Yeah, clearly.
You're going to see how he answers the call. You talk about who could get some birds. Grant could.
Yeah.
See, I don't know that the Husker fan base is booing the players. I don't think. I mean, there would be some boos, but not, and it would be disappointment in the post game if there was a lot of fumbles. But I think they're booing the coaching decisions if he walks out on that field.
You guys are confusing me about that because it wasn't the coaches that fumbled the ball. It wasn't the coaches that threw an interception.
No. So it was the coaches that identified that he was fumbling the ball and then gave him the ball during a critical point of that game. So that was the error in the coaching decision. You definitely needed to work him into the game, but potentially not in the last 4 minutes or so when they needed to
Yeah, that
maintain
was
ball possession. So that is the coaching decision that was getting booed. But anyway, Nebraska fans are hard on the coaches.
Well, I think the blame should be spread.
There's enough blame to go around.
There's enough blame to go around.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was the game there. And what do we have? We had Haarberg finished with 14 to 24 for 158 yards, 6.6 yard average, 2 TDs. And if I remember right, he had a rushing TD.
And
So-
our,
And 98
rushing
yards
average,
of rushing.
Our rushing average as a team, we're doing
Oh, yeah.
very, very well.
Yeah, where was he on that? Yeah, he led the team with 21 carries, 98 yards, 4.7 yards, a rush, and 1 TD.
But the second most was 47, wasn't it?
The second most was Gabe at 67 yards total.
Okay.
And then Grant at 46.
You don't want your quarterback being your leading rusher.
No.
Well, actually,
Unless it's by design.
it depends on if we're going to go back to an option system, then he can be. It wouldn't be your preference either, but we got to do whatever we can to maximize the talent that we have.
Sure. Well, and Satterfield was talking about more pass today, so not as run heavy as I'd like, but
Well, who would you think, if he brings that up, which quarterback would he be thinking could give the best passing options?
Purdy.
Back to my platoon.
Back to Purdy.
I think that's Satterfield throwing another chit in for Sims,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Really?
I think they believe he's the better passer.
Do you really? Wow.
I don't think he is, but I
don't
think
he
they
is
believe it.
either. But
Yeah, I don't.
well, show me game film that supports that. Not practice film. Practice film doesn't mean anything.
Well, that's true. What thoughts, gentlemen, other thoughts do we have on the game? Kind of let's wrap the NIU game up or now. Karl?
It's a win. We'll take it. We need to get that first one on the board.
It was a good win.
It was a good win. Yeah, we needed a win. We needed to get over that hump.
You weren't chewing your nails into the final seconds of the game. It was nice for a change to actually have one in the bag. No, it was good. Every, all three aspects of the game, all the offense played well. There's improvement. I mean, everything could be. Defense played well. Special teams played well. Nobody looked horrible. That was nice to see.
Cheerleaders were a little rough.
Were they?
That's a different thing.
Okay. We'll have Karl's cheerleader corner next week. I don't think anybody looked terrible. It wasn't something where you come around with a bad taste in your mouth. It was a nice win against a good opponent. It wasn't, they're not laughable. Northern Illinois isn't
Right.
terrible.
Well, Brian, you were the closest of the three of us. We had Jeff on phone. He couldn't make it tonight, but we had him on the phone from Omaha. But you were the closest at 35-14, so just a few points off. Defense did a little better.
Yeah, everything, of course, is dependent on the turnovers. I think, frankly, I'd have been spot on the first two games, too. But when you're turning the ball over 8 times, it's hard to... you just can't predict an outcome if you're going to drop the football.
Right.
So we're not going to beat a lot of teams if we continue down the path of the first two games.
If we average 4 more turnovers a game.
Forget it.
This is the kind of wisdom that I expect from you.
Right.
When that kind of in-depth
not a lot
analysis.
of people realize that apparently because we're
no doubt. Exactly.
I told you at the beginning of the year at this podcast, there's a lot of experts out there, and most of them are unemployed.
Yeah,
so,
you make my point about the fan base that are going, we cannot continue to have these turnovers. So regardless of what you're seeing in practice, because we don't get to see practices.
Right.
So regardless of what you're seeing in practice, if it continues, you got to stop.
Yeah.
You got to find another place to put them because it's they talk like 2 games is nothing to lose 2 games. Mm. Well, it's like 1/16 of your season.
Yeah,
so
look, Alabama lost 1 game and they're like, "Oh, our season's over. We're done." I mean, that's Alabama. I get
had
it,
we
but
at
still.
least won the Minnesota game, we'd be having a different conversation.
Oh, you'd be having
right.
a whole different conversation.
Well,
or the Colorado game, which
right.
Yeah.
You just can't have that many turnovers. We should have really won both of those games. And you just can't turn the ball over that much.
I agree.
Totally. So we're putting the past to bed, right? We're putting it to bed. We're moving on.
Only if it comes up again.
That probably happens
we'll leave
to
it
you
in
a
the past
lot
until
in therapy.
Sim's next interception or Grant's next fumble. And then
it's coming back,
it's all
baby.
coming back.
So this is Coach Rule on the upcoming game with Louisiana Tech.
They're explosive, okay? And they're opposite of us in that they're going to drop back and throw it. They're going to spin it. They'll play with tempo. They'll run it too, and they're going to RPO you. They're going to get the ball in Smoke Harris's hands. He's, like I said, he's one of the more dynamic players you'll see. So they're never out of a game. And the quarterback got hurt. They put the second quarterback in, and he brought a running element to the game as well. So offensively, they'll present a lot of challenges to us, their offense. And then defensively, blitzing us and playing man has kind of been what people have done. I thought we had some better answers the other night in terms of running the quarterback and some of those things. But that's what they do. They're going to bring pressure. They're going to play man. They're going to challenge you. They're going to move. They're going to try to disrupt you. So, to me, it's another game where we just have to understand the formula we're trying to win with. We're going to try to establish ourselves, throw body blows, play the game, win the game in the fourth quarter. Our guys can't start listening to the noise of like, boy, there's a lot of punts, or boy, like just keep flipping the field, like play Big Ten football, and that's what we're trying to get done. So this will be a team that can challenge all that with the pressure, and we have to play smart football versus this team.
I have two quick ones from Coach Sonny Kumbi.
I have I could interject here. Do you ever feel like Coach Rule and Coach Satterfield are on different? They're not on the same sheet.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think they see things differently. I
They
think they have a
do.
different philosophy, which is okay.
Do
as
they
long as-
know it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Do you think
I was
you-
going to say it's fine if long as you compliment each other.
I'm not sure if they're, because you listen to him, Coach Rule, and it really feels like a really run-heavy offense. We're going to pound it. And whatever. But Satterfield, I listen to him, and it sounds like he's more of a passing philosophy. We need to throw more. I just don't. I wonder sometimes, are they in sync with it all? And I'm just not sure that they are. I don't know. You would think they would be, but maybe they see it differently or something. That's just my observation at this early point.
Yeah, I don't know about the philosophy like that overall on the offensive philosophy, but I know that Coach Rule has certainly praised both his offensive and defensive coordinators on how they coach the players and how he likes the way they coach the players
coach
up.
Sure.
So, but that's a good question, and I think something to keep an eye on as we go forward, whether we see a division there.
Remember, all head coaches usually were either an offensive or defensive coordinator.
Right.
They had a past life. So I think,
But you see what I'm talking about a little bit too, right?
I do.
Okay, yeah.
I think there's going to be different philosophies, but do they complement each other as far as the overall scheme of what they want to accomplish? You can have
Right.
different opinions. I mean, there's a reason why Coach Rule is not the offensive and defensive coordinator as well.
Understood. But
So-
and when we get back to our quarterback decision, I wonder who's driving that more. Whether Satterfield is
I'm sure it's the podcasts that are.
well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure we
podcasts
have
are
a big
driving
vote.
whoever gets.
But
starting
is
quarterback.
Satterfield the one that's really pushing Sims more than the head coach? Is that? I'm curious to know. Of course, nobody probably does, but
See, I'm okay. I'm okay if he has his favorite, but I guess Coach Rule though should be the end.
sure.
Yeah, we know
the
who's
decision maker.
ultimately responsible for that
Yes.
decision, and that's Coach Rule.
Right.
All right. But is he going to listen to his OC?
Regardless, he is ultimately responsible for that decision.
Right.
So
Well,
he's there. He can watch practice. He knows this is the biggest decision that he's going to make up until this point this year.
And the Booster Club. Don't forget the Booster Club. They're influential as well.
well, there's money there. They're definitely.
There's no
In
doubt.
Nebraska, yes.
All right, we'll get back to the enemy coach here and
The enemy
listen to
coach.
his videos.
Got a tough game this
We got
weekend against
Sanders in the
Nebraska.
booth with us.
Villainize
It's personal,
This is going to
Karl.
be
It's personal.
one of the greatest environments, really in all of college football. Their fan base is incredible, and so I think it'll be a lot of fun for our players to experience that, and to go up and play against a great opponent in Nebraska. They're very big on defense, offensively. They do a great job of running the football. They make no bones about the type of football and the style of brand of football that they want to play. They want to play a physical style on offense and defense and special teams as well. And so it'll be a great challenge for our guys to match that and to be able to compete. We're going to have a lot of great effort with offensive line and defensive line on both sides of the football. And so I'm excited about the challenge. I'm looking forward to get up to Lincoln, Nebraska and playing in this football game and finishing out our non-conference slate.
And I have one on his defensive game plan.
We're gonna have to figure out ways to get extra hats to the box. Both quarterbacks, whether Sims plays or it's Heinrich, they both do a great job of running the football with zone read quarterback draw, and also with quarterback power. And so, we're going to have to be able to find ways to get an extra hat to the box, which that leaves you in man coverage on the outside. So we've got to be really good there in terms of our coverage. And so they do pose some problems. It's a lot different, in terms of a structure standpoint than what we just faced, where Chandler was able to create some plays with his feet because of the spread and everything spread out, and he was able to get some running lanes and take off and hurt us there. This is a little bit different just because you have an idea of where everybody's going to be at, but it's just about executing and whether they call whether it's a 50 plays a game and they run it 40 plays a game, they're really good at what they do. And from a defensive standpoint, 40 snaps out of 40 snaps, we've got to be exactly where we're supposed to be in terms of our gaps and our hats to be able to stop their run.
So he's kind of saying that we are predictable, and if they are where they need to be, they stand a chance of stopping us. So what are your thoughts on kind of what he's saying?
Well, first of all, he's a good coach. He does well. I've had a chance to watch a couple of their previous games. They have some dynamic players. They've got some good corners. I would expect to see on defense they're going to bring some blitzes with the corners. They did that effectively in the games that I saw. They've got good athletes there. Offensively, they're a passing team. They do throw the ball a lot. Their quarterback is. I think we can get to him. And once again, I think our defensive line especially is going to be in a position to dominate. We should get a lot of pressure on him, which is probably going to be, chasing him around quite a bit. He's elusive, but
I was going to say that usually the main difference between a school like LSU and Louisiana Tech is size.
right.
They have the skill and they have speed, but they often lack the size, and that's why they're playing at Louisiana Tech. That's trouble. That could be trouble.
Or if they do have the size, it's the athleticism.
Right.
Sometimes
Then
it's
that's lacking. That's in your lines for sure.
Yeah, and that's where we should win this game is up front. We should match up pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. It kind of gets us back into the naturally just the quarterback discussion, because my predictions would vary depending on which quarterback takes the field, and so are we ready to move to predictions? Do we have any more thoughts? Anything we've heard? Anything we want to talk about?
Who does he want to? Who's their coach? You think? What he mentioned Sims. Do you think he's hoping Sims is in? I think he is. I would too.
I would. I'd have my DBs drooling.
Yeah, I'd want Sims in too. He's just.
And I'd be doing
way
everything.
too loose with the ball.
And I'd have my linebackers doing everything they can when Grant runs the ball to be stripping the ball, tackle the ball, not the player.
You're going to see that all season with Grant, and he's got to know that's going to happen. Sure.
Well, we know Grant's going to be in there. Obviously, he's got two guys behind him that were much lower on the depth chart, but they're obviously going to see some time with Emmett Johnson, and then they did. The last play of the game, I think potentially maybe a true freshman running back for Nebraska had that 14-yard run. So, that was pretty cool to see. But a lot of these guys may start seeing the field that would otherwise had not.
Well, I think Rule mentioned that actually with one of the, I think a redshirt freshman running back. He was talking to him, someday this is going to be your job, not realizing that someday is Saturday.
Right. Later,
Yeah.
So, like Saturday.
Yeah. So I guess maybe the line may get a little better with a healthy player coming back at tackle. We'll see. And then but our offense, our running backs took a major hit.
Yeah.
And there's just no way around that. So just a huge question on these coaches early in this season. They've got a decision to make, and they've got to figure out what quarterback. And I think it's going to be a lot for them to go back on their decision, because they handpicked Sims to come in and lead this offense. And so they must have made that decision that he was their man, and now they actually have to decide that he's not. And I think that's harder for them than we think.
I would agree with you, and that shows a lot of accountability and maturity by the coaching staff. I would have a lot more respect if they could say, hey, we took a shot on this guy. We were wrong. This is the guy that we need to be there, whether it's Harburg or Purdy or Sims. But I do think they have to realize if Sims isn't able to produce, if he does the same thing that problemed him at Georgia Tech, then pull him. You got to put in what's in the best interest of the team and not be too prideful about it.
I agree. Again, it's game performance versus performance in practice.
Yeah, for sure.
But if they don't set up some sort of competition between the two of them where everyone feels like, I think the team, the two players in question, and the fan base feels that they're getting an equal shot, it's going to be difficult if they just pick Sims to come back in and God help him if during that game he fumbles it a couple times, because the fan base is going to go nuts. Not at him, but they're going to go nuts on the coaching staff.
Situation. And don't you think the team was really behind Harburg? I really thought so. It just seemed to be.
He had momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the post-game interviews, you could see it. And I was a little surprised by that, and then realizing that, they talked about the history they had with him, that he was roommates with some of them, and just knowing them all that time, they kind of grew up in that program together with several of them. And then you see, okay, well, Jeff Sims was someone new who came in the spring, and clearly they probably saw it that he was, let's just say, he was handpicked by the coaching staff to come in and lead the team. So, and now there's issues, and everyone is going to want to see it be a fair evaluation.
I think the other piece is that you have to remember the first two opponents, Minnesota and Colorado. This was a lower level team. I would expect more success. So I don't know if they're really truly evaluating them fairly.
Right.
This week will be the same. To be honest with you, it kind of goes back to the whole Michigan thing, or what you said. After the Michigan game, we'll have an idea who should be in there.
See, I don't know that I understand what you're saying. I don't know that I'm on board with that. I think
you could be wrong.
You
it's
need
okay.
to use.
Just admit it, Rick. It's
you need to use. If you're going to just first of all, the fumbles are not on the opponent. That's on you.
It is.
If you just drop the ball, that's between your center and it's all on Nebraska. And if you just drop the ball and you fail to jump on it, that is on you. I don't care if you're playing Alabama. It doesn't matter. You can't do that.
Right.
So now coverages and not seeing coverages, could that be because it was a better team? Absolutely. So there's a balance in there somewhere. So to get rid of that argument, to get that crutch out of the way, you need to evaluate them both against the same competition. And yes, you made a good point with, well, there needs to be a rhythm and all that stuff. But I don't know how you give them a fair evaluation unless you put them in against the same competition. And that's what Tom Osborne did, and it worked out well for him.
And I would agree, except the thing that haunts Jeff Sims is history. Because he had this problem previously too. Right. It's more of a pattern. A little bit. I mean, well, clearly from Georgia Tech to here, it's a pattern of him turning the ball over.
Yeah.
Which partly I totally with interceptions. Did the receiver run the route right? Was the coverage different? All that type of stuff. The end result, though, is that Sims does have a history of turning the ball over.
Including at Nebraska, by the way.
Well, yeah, Nebraska. Yeah. And, I mean, so this is kind of following him. You have to take a look at that.
He does not have a history at Nebraska of not turning the ball over.
That's
so true. I know there's a lot of knots in there, but follow it.
There's a lot of knots
so
in there.
The only history he has at Nebraska is turn it over. So, Karl, I wanted to ask, in your practice, do you find if someone is known for a habit, that they've consistently done over and over again, that you can break that habit in like a week?
In a week? Hell no.
So what if we apply that to Sims?
It's a little different.
Well, of course it is, but this is an analogy. This is a
okay. I know you're on a roll. Go with it.
So do you? Even with sports, I mean, if you've consistently done something over and over and over, And it's not just a little bit of a problem. It's a nation-leading problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one that has more
That's a
turnovers
significant problem.
than Jeff Sims.
Yeah.
So and again, he's probably a wonderful young man, and nothing against him personally.
No, it's not
But
personal.
you look at his past, and that he leads the nation in turnovers, and he
We're
added
number one.
He added to that. Yeah, he added to that in his first 2 games at Nebraska.
Absolutely.
So, who, with their right mind, thinks that that's going to change in any significant way for the remainder of the season?
To be honest, no one. He has done nothing to show us something different.
Except maybe Marcus Satterfield.
Well, there is that.
Well,
There
there's
is
that.
And
Yeah, that's a whole different issue. 'Cause
Right.
I want to know about that.
Well, and that's what led me to my questioning earlier: is Satterfield influencing rule and you know. Nice thing about this, it's not like a mystery that goes on and on forever. In the next couple, we're going
unlike
to know.
my field that can
Yeah.
carry on for years and years and destroy relationships. This just loses a few football games.
Right.
What's worse, Karl?
which-
A few
it all
relationships
depends.
or Nebraska football game?
It all
After
depends. I think it's
Michigan.
Nebraska football has more influential.
The Sunday after Michigan, they better know what they're going to do.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's going to be the ultimate test.
Right.
There's no doubt.
And I guess my point is, so say you go with Sims, and he does relatively well against Louisiana Tech.
And you don't give Harburg even an opportunity, and you don't give
Or
him
you
any
do,
equal.
Or you don't. Whatever.
You
happens.
have to.
But when you
He earned
play,
it.
but when you play Michigan, whoever you put out there, if say you put Sims in, he's your starter for Michigan, and he has a game similar to the first 2 games, and we come away from that being embarrassed, and he's fumbled and he's been intercepted, and that's when I say by Sunday the next morning, you better have your head on straight as a coach at Nebraska. That okay, no more of that, or whatever happens. You need to, by the end of the Michigan game, you need to know where you're going to go.
I agree. I do.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree with that if they make that decision. Now, I would say, why go away from someone that worked just because other people are saying, well, the competition wasn't the same? Well, let's see what he does against the next level of competition.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's see
I'm
what
not
Harburg
arguing-
does against the next level of competition, and until he starts to fail.
I don't disagree with
And if
that
the
at all.
wheels come off, then put Sims back in. But it's not unlike what Tom Osborne faced in the first national championship season in the 90s. He had 2 quarterbacks. One was injured for a while. Tommy Frazier, Brooke Behringer came in, led that season, led that team to an undefeated season. And then he had a huge choice to make. And that's in the national championship game. He said, you will both play in this game. And I will give you 2 series, and the person with the hot hand will stay in. And that's what he did, and we ended up winning the game. So under all that pressure and under all that, they gave both of them a fair shake and a fair evaluation against nation-leading competition. So I don't know why this coaching staff would not give both of them a fair shot against the same competition.
I think the quality of the quarterbacking was different back then. Frazier and Brooke were excellent quarterbacks, different styles. I don't see the level of competition as being the same. It's like Sims has a history of turning the ball over. This isn't new. It's been that way.
Right, sure.
Harburg we don't know about.
Well, obviously, if it was my NCAA football team, that I was playing on the old Xbox.
It's coming.
Tecmo Ball with Bo
it's
Jackson
coming.
run over everybody.
The season gets any worse, and I'll be reverting again to my fantasy world in the old Xbox
He still has
360.
Johnny Rogers running the ball. Okay,
it, baby. But if it was my choice to make, I would just say, hey, we're going to give you both a fair shot, both in practice this week and in the game. Let's say Sims as the starter that got hurt, you will get the first 2 series. Harburg, you will get the next 2 series. And we will evaluate you in those, and then the person who is the hottest will be playing until they are not hot anymore. And that seems fair to me.
I don't know. I think you have to take a look at a bigger picture of who's in sync, who's got everybody rallying around them.
So knowing what you know, who would you start? Coach Karl.
Harburg. I'm sorry. Until he screws up, he gets the opportunity. Sims had the opportunity. He didn't take advantage of it.
Right.
Harburg went in decent. I mean, not only the running, but the passing. Bottom line, he didn't turn over the ball through interceptions. I know he had the fumble, but didn't have it. Until he chooses or shows something different, Harburg should have the chance to show it.
I don't disagree with that. I would be fine with that choice too, because when or if he screwed up, then yes, you have Sims. Now you've regained your opportunity. Here's your shot. But I would not take that away from Harburg until he's either lost a more fair competition or something, or screwed up.
Yeah.
I think we all agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
Coach
Look
Beebe,
at his stats.
is that what you would do?
Yeah, Harburg would be my guy. If I was making the call, Harburg would be in. And I would find something for Sims.
Okay.
I don't know what, but I know I've got a depleted running back room now.
You'd be getting him in the game, and then he would be ready to take over a quarterback if there was an injury
If
or
there
whatever.
needed to be. But it just his overall athleticism he's quite an athlete. He
For sure.
We've seen him capable of running. And most of his turnovers, when you watch him, and I'm trying to think if there was any, has he really fumbled while he was running the ball? Do you recall? I don't really recall if it. I know he's turned over snaps and he's thrown interceptions. Maybe if he was actually, when he's running downfield,
Right.
I think he's actually secures the ball a little better. So maybe he wouldn't be a bad running option somehow, get him in the game with the football occasionally. But Harburg, he looked really good this last game. And Sims did not perform well the first two games. Harburg would be my quarterback, no question.
Okay. All right. Before we move to predictions, last chance for any thoughts, Karl.
I want Lester Hayes Stickum put on Anthony Grant's hands
Nice.
so that the damn ball ain't
It's
moving
like,
anywhere.
yeah, it just
I like it.
it sticks.
Stick.
You can't even hand it to the
You can
ref.
throw
when
it
you get
off.
that.
Throw it off. It ain't going anywhere.
There's a reason they got rid of Stickum. They went to the gloves.
Because seriously, I think part of the success of the quarterbacks is if they can establish a running game.
Right.
And we're down a couple. Anthony Grant's got to step up. He's got the talent.
Yeah.
Got to hold on to the damn ball.
Yeah. He's due, and it's his time for sure. BB,
Yeah.
same question.
I want to see the fullback. I want to see the fullback more than what have we seen him twice all season. We heard lots of talk about it. I got all excited. I was getting all jazzed for power eye football, kind of run it right up your in. We just haven't seen it, and when we have used it, I think it's been successful. So, yeah, we've got some fullbacks on the roster. Let them earn their paycheck, get them in there, and if that doesn't work, great, then let's go away from it. But so far, those couple of plays when we bring them in, we look pretty good.
Right. I mean, Coach Rule highlighted some good blocks on a play by a fullback and then also by a lineman that blocked 3 separate blocks downfield. So I agree. We need to I think the biggest chance of that will be if Harburg is in there. It seems like they're going to a more true old school Nebraska running game with him in there. Right. But all right, so let's do true gold, fool's gold, but let's do it too. One, first, if Sims is in the game, what's the score going to be, and is Nebraska going to win? And then one if Harburg. So we'll go first Sims. I know. So we're going to. Okay, I'll let you think on it, Karl, because I see the wheels turning.
Oh my!
It's burning.
So now this is with Sims.
Cowardly.
So Sims is the quarterback throughout the game.
Yep.
BB, what's your pick? True gold, Nebraska wins, or fool's gold, they don't win.
True gold.
What's the score?
21-10.
And
with Sims.
Your thoughts with that? 21-10 with Sims, and
there will be 2 turnovers. We would win 21-10 just because we should fairly well dominate these folks up front. Might even be an interception out there somewhere. Who knows? We turned the ball over 3 times, 2 or 3 times. but we still win because of who the opponent is.
Okay. Now, with Sims, Karl, what happens? Who wins, and what's the score?
I think physically we're going to outmatch them. We should. Speed they have. I say with Sims, it's 21-17 Cornhuskers. With Harburg, it's at least 24-17. I think he's worth at least 3 points.
When do I get to do my Harburg? Do I do my Harburg?
No.
Get one. You
Now, he just cut
did his
in.
Harburg.
He just cut in.
I did.
All
I
right.
just cut in.
So we'll go
You got to
back.
keep your
It's all
Harburg.
about me.
Keep your Harburg.
Okay, we'll come back with the Harburg to you. I mean,
Okay.
he always takes
I
control.
know. It
right.
really
He always
is.
takes control.
What is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I think
Counselor thing.
I know. Never mind.
So-
I think I know.
So let's go with Harburg then.
With
BB.
Harburg, I go 35-14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Boy,
No.
you're
Because we won't turn the ball over. That's at least 3 drives more we'll have. And this is a lesser opponent, in my opinion, than Northern
really.
Illinois.
You think Louisiana Tech is less of a opponent?
Yeah. I've had a chance to watch them. And
Ooh, there's something about speed.
they've got a few of those, but they don't have a lot of those. And, football's one of those things you kind of got to cover everything at once. Or they're going to take advantage of where the weaknesses are. And I think we would. Yeah, so I'd see a much bigger win with Harburg than with Sims.
Gotcha. Well, just going off what I've seen, I will say with Jeff Sims at starting quarterback, I would say we win, but it's 17-10, and our defense is strong. It keeps us in there, but they get put in compromising positions with turnovers, and it's a much closer game than we want and anticipated.
I think it's going to be closer than you think. I agree with that.
And I would say if Harburg plays the entire game, I think at least be 28 points scored. I think we dominate the time of possession, and we just have long drives, and we don't put the defense in difficult situations. And they maybe score, I'll say 7.
Okay.
And 28-7.
28-7.
So
This
We'll
is
see.
this is a team SMU put up, I think, 35 first half points against Louisiana Tech.
okay.
And I don't think SMU is going to be dominating like they were in the 80s.
Well,
So, I mean, I don't think this is as good a team as Northern Illinois.
they are heading to the ACC.
Again, saying that, turnovers are the great equalizer. Stupid
Right.
penalties are as well.
Yep.
If we can avoid both of those, we'll come away with a big win.
Well, I mean, one win against NIU, and my confidence has somehow come back. But I do like, I do like what I've seen with the quarterback change.
Sure.
I like the whole
do
different
too.
look of that offense. It's not what we saw in the first 2 games, and nothing against Sims. I would like to see him be successful in some way, but I don't
There's
think he
something to
will
be
be
said
a
about
quarterback.
chemistry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure. Did you feel? I did, but I'm curious if you. I felt like the team really kind of rallied around Harburg, didn't you?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
I
don't
did
think they do around Sims
I
as
agree with-
much.
Yep, I do.
And I
agree.
don't want to just say it's because he's a Nebraska boy or whatever. I just think there's
And
something
it brings
different.
some leadership out on the field.
Yeah, I think it's because he's been in the program with them.
Well, absolutely. They're familiar with him. And there's always a hesitation or resistance when you bring in an outsider to win a position. I think there's an issue there. Yeah, I do think it's chemistry.
And an outsider who hasn't performed particularly
well,
well.
duh. Yeah.
Well, you look
exactly.
at,
it's not like he tore it up at
Oh.
Georgia Tech. Come on.
It makes me think of Band of Brothers now, just as back on one of the Netflix. Okay,
Yeah.
and so I started watching it again. But there's a big difference between the guys that were there at the start and went through it all, and then the replacements.
Yeah.
And the fact is that bond that gets established with guys over a couple of years is different
Sure.
than a replacement guy that pops in.
Yep. Hey, if I have a chance, I want to mention we're giving away a free ticket to this week's game.
How's that going to work?
Well, if you go to our Twitter, X, what do you call it?
X, Twitter, X,
Elon's
whatever the hell it is.
X.
Whatever Elon wants to name it this week.
Yeah. What is Nebraska? What? Now I can't even remember. Nebraska, Montana. Montana, Nebraska. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
Hold
Go to-
on, I think-
Boy, a
This
lot
is
of help.
bad.
A lot of help
May
you
have to
are.
edit here.
You're
Holy
going to have
Christ.
to give a secret code to send to you, like a
Well,
phrase.
they can direct message me on, but I do need to have the Huskers Montana. That's Huskers with an S, Montana. It's at Huskers Montana. That's our podcast Twitter account.
It's twitter.com, Huskers Montana.
Huskers at Huskers Montana, and you send me a message on there that you've heard the podcast, and tell me it's great.
Lie.
Tell me I'm your favorite host of the program, and we've got a one free ticket. So if you happen to be in Nebraska this Saturday, want to get out and see the ball game, it's not a bad seat at all. It's a midfield, midway up. Should have a great view. I'd be happy to send that ticket to you. It's all electronic, of course, so you'll need to have a iPhone or a other Android phone. And so all you need to do is send us a message on Twitter, and the ticket could be yours.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Karl?
Nope. Ready to go.
That's short and sweet. BB, anything else?
I'm good. Let's get another win under our belt this week.
All right. Well, I'm Ricky J. For BB, for Karl. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.